Thanks for joining us on What Matters This Week. Here this Sunday is Secretary of State Jim Condos. Secretary, appreciate you being here.
Thank you very much. I appreciate being here.
All right, let's get to the topic at hand, your retirement, in a few minutes. But first, how did town meeting day go?
It went pretty well. It was pretty non-eventful for our office. We were there. We don't oversee the elections for town meeting, for local elections, but we are there to provide advice and consult as needed. We didn't have a lot of issues that, came up. There's a few recounts. There were a bunch of bond issues out there, something like 100 million plus worth of bond issues. And I believe most of those passed. So it was pretty non-consequential.
Just the way you like it.
Absolutely.
Voter turnout, though, was it where the town clerks wanted it to be?
I think some towns it was good, some towns it wasn't that good. I think what you will find, like for instance, in Rutland, they had a very contentious school board race. So they saw more turnout than usual. They ran out of ballots and had to photocopy them and then transfer those or count them by hand. And I think in other places, it really depends. It always comes down to what are the issues on the ballot, who are the candidates on the ballot, and are there multiple candidates for a single position.
You mentioned candidates. That springboards to November. There are a lot of races, you said, that's going to keep you busy and your office busy going into the next election. That
is right. The nominating petition period is April 25th through May 26th of this year, so we won't know until at least, I'd say until May 26th, what the candidates will be. All we can see is the current state and slate. For instance, for U.S. Senate, we know we have a Democrat and a Republican. For the U.S. House, we have at least one Republican, 3 Democrats. Governor, I think the governor's race will probably not know until just before the end of the deadline period when the governor will make his announcement.
After the session, probably?
Probably after the session. Lieutenant governor has already got a crowd. I think we don't know yet about the treasurer's office, the AG's office, the auditor's office, my deputy has announced that he's running. So that's pretty much it for the down ticket races. In the House and Senate, they have to get their redistricting completed, which I understand that the House will be moving it out this Friday. And at least on their side, and we've told both House and Senate that we need to have the governor sign the redistricting bill by April 1st to give us enough time, to give the parties enough time to recruit candidates for the new seats or new districts, and to give us time to get our paperwork in order.
And what if that doesn't happen?
Then it's going to put a crunch on everybody. The only place that there's a potential would be if they shortened up the nominating petition period from 30 days to say 15. That would be give them an extra 2 weeks, but then that also shortens up the time that people have to get their petition signed.
But you're not going to move the primary?
No, we can't.
Okay.
That would take the legislature to move the primary, and if anything, it would have to come earlier, not later.
Okay, understood. All right, that said, you mentioned candidates. You announced at this point a few weeks ago that you are retiring and that next January, that's it for you. What made you come to this decision now? It's
time. Let me just say that I still enjoy going to work every day. There's no greater job that I've had than this one, but I've served 18 years in the South Burlington City Council, 8 years in the State Senate representing Chittenden County, and now 12 years as Secretary of State. Knock on wood, but I never lost a race. It felt good. And you know what? It's time for another set of eyes. I've accomplished a lot in my last 12 years. My business background of over 30 years contributed to my ability to get things done. and I'm really looking forward to exiting stage left.
Next January. If you look back, and I know you want to tout your accomplishments, but if you look back at where Vermont was a dozen years ago before you took office, which was most challenging?
Well, I think when I first took office, technology was really on the old side, and our online activity was literally non-existent, and we were just starting to make some inroads with professional regulation. But since that time, we went from 0% online activity to now over 98% online activity. When COVID hit in March 20th of 2020, we were able to switch to telework, remote work, without missing a beat. We still provided excellent customer service. People still had access to the things that they needed. So I would say transforming the office from paper-driven systems to a digital environment was probably our number one accomplishment, because everything else flowed from that.
Even before the 2020 election, you had visited countless towns and communities and counties around the state, and transparency was a big issue for you. Has that helped at all?
Has it helped? I hope so. We are still, Sunshine Week is next week. I'm sure you're aware. And we are going to continue. We didn't do the transparency tour last fall because of the COVID, but we are going to do a digital variety of it, a digital version. We'll be announcing that shortly.
Does the pitch change now than it did 4 years ago?
No, one of the things that we've held fast, that here's the simple way to say it, Lauren. The public has a right to know, public has a right to attend, and the public has a right to participate. And we believe strongly in that message. That's what's enshrined in both the Constitution and our state statutes. We, as public officials, whether it's local, state, or county, are accountable to the people. And good government is open government, and I believe strongly in that. I always have. And I've worked with countless number of people to try to ensure that happens. We advise towns and other state agencies on what the public access laws are, and it's just really important.
When you think about what other secretaries of state have been through, the decisions some of them made in 2020, Democrat or Republican, did you ever think your job title would become as controversial or as spotlighted as it has?
It's sort of interesting that you say it that way, because we used to be the sleepy down ticket race, the secretaries of state. And my colleague, the Republican in Georgia, stuck by the rule of law. And most of my other colleagues stuck to the rule that they have to follow as well. I am concerned. There are, I think, something like 18 or 20 states that have believers of the big lie that the former president has been pushing, running for secretaries of state. It does concern me, but I think that we will see, hopefully, the voters will see through it and vote accordingly.
Is there a way to make the job description or the office less partisan?
That's a good question. I have always run this office as a nonpartisan. Yes, I run as a Democrat. I've been elected as a Democrat, but I've been harsh to Democrats as well as Republicans when it comes to the law. I think that it's a tough situation. Secretaries of state are elected or put in positions as secretary in different ways. Some are appointed by the governor, some are appointed by the legislature, some are elected by the people. So there's many different ways that secretaries of state become secretaries.
And different job descriptions in some states, right?
Yeah, exactly. For instance, Maine, Michigan, and Illinois are the only 3 states who have the Department of Motor Vehicles under their auspices. We have elections, corporations, archives and records management, as well as professional regulation. Not every state has those. So every state's different. There's only 40 states that have elections under the Secretary of State. Some don't even have a Secretary of State. For instance, Oregon and Utah and Alaska have a lieutenant governor who serves as Secretary of State.
Should that change? Should every state have the same job description? Should we move towards something that's more universal?
I think that's a states' rights issue, and the states need to determine that, working with their legislature to determine how it is. You know, the Maine Secretary of State is elected by the legislature. New Hampshire's Secretary of State is also elected by the legislature. Whereas in Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Vermont, and Massachusetts were elected by the people. So it's, you know, I feel good that my message has gotten out to the people. They've supported me in the past, and I hope they will continue to support the policies that we put forth. You
went on some national news outlets and talk shows in 2020 when it came to you making sure that the right information about the election was out there. Will that be a part of the future post-retirement? Will you go on a public speaking tour? Will this part of your journey, maybe as of late, continue?
That's a great question. I don't know. I think that'll depend on the news organizations and if they want me to, or
do you want to?
I would certainly welcome the potential for being able to sound off on different issues. Right now, I really hesitate to sound off because it would sound partisan, and I really mean it when I say I run the office in a nonpartisan faction.
Back to Vermont, Secretary, do you think vote by mail in some form will continue, even if we safely get to this endemic point?
Yes. It's actually last year, the last legislature, not this year, the legislature made it permanent. So we will be going forward with vote by mail for the general election. I know the governor has pushed for the primary and local elections, and there's a lot of details that have to be worked out first. For instance, in the statewide primary in August, we have to send 3 ballots to every voter. They have to return all 3, fill out 1, return the other 2 unvoted ones. If we go to a vote by mail, that increases cost tremendously. And until the legislature actually deals with how the primary process works, it should be changed, but we will decide at that time. And you know, the local elections, part of the problem with the local elections, and we saw it down in Montpelier. So they had the school budget, but the school budget is between 2 towns. Both towns had to agree to do vote by mail, so they didn't. So people had to come in or request a ballot for the school budget.
Supervisory unions get involved,
yes.
Right, and it might make it a little more tricky.
Yeah, and some towns have like 15 towns in it as part of it. So to try to herd them all together is a little difficult. You also had a new tech center, 18 towns. You had a new communications network down there. That was another 18 towns. So all these things have to be worked out. Plus, right now, we don't have, everybody might think that town meeting day is when every municipal votes. It doesn't work that way. Some towns, this year, they postponed them to May.
Yeah.
In other towns, South Burlington used to be in May, regular. Some towns have their municipal budget on town meeting day, but their school budget is later in the month or the next month. So there's many different ways, and until we can sync all that, it's going to make it difficult to do vote by mail at the local level. Okay. The towns, though, have the authority to go forward if they choose to.
Secretary Condos, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Very much appreciated being here, and I'm sure we'll probably talk this fall.
Definitely, definitely. So I won't say happy retirement yet.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us. We'll be right back on What Matters This Week.